Welcome to Palladino Inquiries. I'm your host, George Palladino, and I'm here with Frank Zona.
Thanks for having me, George.
No problem. Frank, you ran for Ohio House of Representatives, is that correct?
Yes, I did.
Wow. Now, can you tell me, you can expand on it, but what does a member of the House do?
Well, the State House is the legislative branch of Ohio's government, so they write and vote on the laws that we have in the state of Ohio.
Right.
And many of those are very, very relevant to everyday life here. A lot of people think it's just Congress, but actually the State House has a great deal to do with the laws that we recognize and that we abide by every day.
Okay.
So they have a lot to do with the function of the state in a lot of different ways.
And these laws, where else do they get passed on? Like, these are solely in this state, like.
Yeah, so the Ohio State House writes laws for Ohio, and then there's also an Ohio Senate, and then so the executive branch would be the governor, and he would sign the laws after they write and vote on the bills to pass them, and so those would become laws for the state of Ohio.
Were you planning on personally writing any laws?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Do you have any examples?
There's a lot of different issues that the state faces in which action, especially within the context of the law, would be very beneficial. One great example would be the heroin crisis, because a lot of people are affected by drug addiction in this state.
Definitely.
And people of all backgrounds really are affected by this. And especially young people. And so I think that the state government has a responsibility to take action so that the responses that we're instituting as a state, the policies that we have across the state of Ohio to deal with this crisis, reflect the latest solutions, reflect evidence-driven policies. And so if I were to be elected, that would be what I would spend a lot of time looking at, is how we can institute a lot of those solutions. Also making sure that we're supporting public schools, because public schools, both go to public schools or graduated from public schools, and making sure that they have the resources they need for students, and making sure that students have opportunities in those schools, and those schools are well funded, and that they have the ability to innovate. Those are all very important, and those are all things that could be worked on in the State House.
All right, thank you. Do you currently like who is a member of the Ohio House, or do you think that those guys just need to be out and new people in?
Well, look, there are a lot of great people in the State House, and I think that politics, it can get crazy, it can get complicated, but I think it's best when we treat each other, well, we treat each other civilly, and, I wouldn't say that I dislike necessarily the members of the House that we have. My disagreements with them are the emphasis that they place on different policies, and, so I wouldn't say it's a personal thing that I have with any of the representatives necessarily, but rather I would ask that and hope that they could look at, some of the different policies we could be instituting, and also making sure that they're willing to listen to ideas that are maybe new to them, or maybe that they didn't necessarily share, and that they're open to ideas that people from other parties have, not just people within their own party, because partisanship right now in this country and in the state is one of the most detrimental things to making sure that we have good solutions to try to really be addressing things that affect people every single day. So there's more to be done in that regard, I think, and I don't think that's the fault of any one individual.
So, in your opinion, are we economically strong in Ohio?
Yeah, I think that we are. I think we do have a strong economy, and I think there's a lot of reasons for that. And there's a lot that the State House can do to make sure that, especially small businesses have the support that they need, so that whatever policies do, get placed in effect, they have the ability to operate, and the economic policy is dynamic enough to work with them in a productive manner that doesn't
Right.
infringe upon their ability to grow and function.
So you are a supporter of a mixed economy with, capitalistic but government support.
Well, the lesson of history in the United States, in a lot of ways, is that we can accomplish a lot, and without some regulation, the effects can be can be insane. And sometimes opposition talks about regulation as if it's a terrible thing. It's not always. And everybody is against the type of regulations that disable small businesses from operating to their full capacity, that prevent small startup groups from operating, that don't give small family businesses the ability to compete with large corporations. But at the same time, we have to recognize that certain things require regulation, and it doesn't matter if you're Barack Obama or if you're Ronald Reagan. Every president has instituted some form of influence upon the government, or the economy on the part of the government, in many different ways. So I think the biggest challenge for the economy is going to be making sure that as we proceed, and as we do have in some sense a global economy, I mean, technologies are always going to be developing rapidly, at this point. And so being able to keep up with that and making sure that we have the ability to integrate the latest science, we have the ability to support researchers, whether they're public or private, and making sure that we have an economy that can, develop and grow along with the technology and the world economy. I think that's going to be the struggle, and making sure that we can maintain the traditional industries, and be strong there, and also integrate the latest technologies and make sure that we're doing it in a way that benefits small business and benefits everybody.
So let me ask you, do you think the idea of socialism is good? Would you support that?
That's a difficult buzzword to talk about, because people usually, when they hear the word socialism, get an idea in their head. And depending on who you are, you get a different version of it. I don't think that there's any government that fully fits the mold of a term, whether that's free market, whether it's capitalistic, or whether that's socialist or communist, or any other type. Every government is different, every country is different, every group of people and person themselves is different. But the government has a great deal of responsibility per our own Constitution to make sure that individuals have certain rights. And that's not because the government stands as an entity, but it's because the government is ours. This is a government of the people, by the people, for the people. And so if the term socialist denotes having policies in effect that utilize branches of the economy, or utilize tax dollars or capital to make sure that we have a basic standard that meets the constitutional rights that we have in this country, then I think to some extent having some socialistic or social based policies are very important. And that's something that we've always had, and that's something that is a proud part of this country's history, in this country and helping many countries around the world.
So we've never seen true communism. Would you want to see that happen? I mean, it doesn't have to be to our own country, but do you want to see what that looks like?
No.
No, you're not a communistic supporter.
No.
Not at all.
No.
Okay. All right. How old are you?
23.
Good age. Did you work hard for your position?
In the race that I ran for the state house, I did work hard. And I did so because I wanted to ensure that if I was elected, that I was aware of what was really going on in the district, in our district and in our community. Because I think a representative's job to some extent, a great extent, is making sure that the work that they do ensures that the people in which you're representing have the constitutional rights they're guaranteed, have policies that are going to benefit them. And so I spent a great deal of time making sure that I was out there meeting people and hearing from people, and that people could reach out to me, so that I could get an understanding of what was really going on. And of course I knew a lot of the different issues, but to hear from people all the time, and to hear their story, and to try to think about solutions that would benefit them, and people who are going through similar situations, that's a challenge. And so I worked very hard to make sure that, if I was talking about an issue, if I was trying to bring attention to an issue, I was doing so because I knew how important it was to people and their rights and their quality of life.
23, this is like a young age to be doing what you're doing. So at about what age did you think that this is what you wanted to do?
Well, I've always taken the right to vote very seriously. And both my parents are veterans, and so I knew from a very young age how important for us and for this, the planet, the leadership that this country has to offer, how important that really is for people.
So did you think that this is what you were going to be
Well,
doing?
and so I understood how important government was from a young age.
Right.
Because, it affected me very, seriously and very proximally, and of course the other families. And so I've always had a serious appreciation of the vote, and, the responsibility that we have to participate in government. And, I didn't necessarily plan to go into politics. I did work for the Board of Elections when I was in high school. And, I've always encouraged people to be politically engaged, because, that's what this country is founded on, is making sure that everybody, is involved. And so in this race, I felt that I had an opportunity to ensure that the people of this district who are going through, and many of these issues are statewide and in many ways national, to try to call for some common sense policies for people who thus far did not necessarily feel as if they had a voice, and address in a different light, speaking as a scientist, as a young person, and being from a different party than the majority is, to offer a different perspective with which we view some of these issues, which we address them, and also trying to offer some of the latest solutions. And so having the opportunity to have done that is a tremendous honor and privilege, because it's a very important thing for our community to have leaders who are politically engaged. It's important that you're meeting people too, and asking questions like this to get an understanding of how you can get involved, because it's on the young people to be the leaders of the future.
Are you insinuating that I'm going to be a future leader?
I think that any young person, including you, has a lot to offer to this country and to the state and their community.
I totally agree with you.
And I want to make sure that, I want to be an advocate going forward to make sure that our young people have every opportunity to try to pursue that.
Right. Okay. I was going to ask a question, but it flew from my mind.
Well, think about it.
Let me do you see yourself running for president, or being president ever in your life?
Well, I think we learned yesterday that anything is possible when it comes to the presidency. I think that it's the people's choice, what vision they have for their country. whether or not they vote and who they vote for is a big responsibility, and I think that it always depends on what's going on and who's in the best position, and I hope to continue in whatever capacity that I can to try to advocate for the country, the types of values that I think this country was founded on, and I think the presidency specifically is a lot of who's in the right place at the right time and who's in the best position to try to make sure that the majority of this country in a lot of ways is being spoken for, and can also speak to uniting this country around the base values that we have, such as our constitutional rights, such as education, the types of values this country was founded on. That's what I think the presidency is all about, and it's anybody's guess as to who the next presidents will be, but I hope that it's somebody who is committed deep down, and I think it will be, who is committed to making sure that we are the best country we can be for everybody.
Do you think that you can hold that position as president?
I'm not sure exactly how to answer that, because I don't think anybody's necessarily prepared for all that the presidency encompasses, but I think that
I mean, maybe not now, you're still young, but like if you keep working at this pace, I mean.
Well, I certainly hope to run again. There are many offices, from school board to trustee to there's a lot of local and community positions that are most impactful to people's lives every single day, and the type of quality education that they can get, the type of quality of life that they're able to have, and it doesn't matter if it's local school board or if it's the presidency. If I were elected, I would do my best to make sure that I was doing every single thing that I could do every second of the day to make sure that we were doing the right thing in this country, that we were standing for constitutional rights, and that we were moving in the right direction. And the presidency is the most popular position. It's the one everybody thinks of, but every position is important. Every position in this country is key to a government that works for people and that is doing their best for the people. And so it would be my honor to serve in any public capacity to try to advance that.
Alright. I appreciate that you want to make this country great.
Well, thank you. It's on all of us. It's on all of us. And I think at the end of the day, no matter what your politics are, people want, they want to do good for their community. They want to do what's best for their country. And a lot of it is making sure that, they have the outlet, and that we're talking about, what works through evidence, what we, and having healthy debates and having participation to make sure that we're accomplishing that.
So, a question brought up a lot in the debates. In 2020, statistics show that 98% of the rainforest will be depleted. What are your views on that?
The environment is something that, from drinking water to air to, the way we produce energy, the way we, have industry. That's something I spend a great deal of time talking about as part of my campaign for the State House. I think it's a shame that we have so much that is God-given to us, that we have not been able to take action on. I don't think anybody who looks at the incredible biodiversity of the rainforest thinks that it wouldn't be an unforgivable mistake to let a lot of that disappear. I think people, they care. I think right now we need leadership that recognizes that we have to take steps to try to preserve that. Whether it's in the Amazon rainforest or whether it's here at home, because there's a lot of different diversity we have here. Protecting the water, protecting the air, protecting our public parks. It's a mentality I think that we have to have a little bit more of, and we have the ability to stop it, but we have to be able to say that there is more that we're concerned about than just ensuring some of these oil and gas projects or some of these industrial projects get completed. Everybody wants to see, industry and business successful, but what we don't want is to do that at the cost of what is most valuable.
Is there a world leader that you look up to that you want to see yourself as it?
Well, I admire immensely the leadership of President Obama. I think that he will go down as one of the best presidents we've had.
Definitely.
I think he will go down as well one of the smartest presidents we've had. And I think this is because you have somebody who is so articulate, who can lift people up, and really, I think has on a number of occasions put the country, on his shoulders, and made sure that we're doing the right thing on a lot of things, such as healthcare. Previous to the president's, signing of the Affordable Care Act and the patient protection, as part of that, insurance companies were able to decide whether or not you lived and died as an individual because they controlled healthcare. But the people who wrote and signed the Constitution of the United States wrote that you have a right to life, and you have a right to pursuit of happiness as an inalienable God-given right. And President Obama has ensured that that is now the case by making sure that millions of Americans and all Americans have the potential to have access to health care. And that's the type of leadership that requires a recognition of our highest ideals, but also a serious political will to make sure that it happens. And so, I admire him greatly. And there are a lot of great world leaders who are doing a lot, for their countries and for the state of politics internationally and global affairs. But I most admire President Obama for the leadership he's offered this country and the efforts that he's had to work for justice, for peace abroad, and also ensure American security in a way that has been, in all of those regards, more effective and more aggressive than any president really in modern times.
Right. So you would say you would agree that you love politics, right?
I don't know that I would say that.
You're a fan of politics.
I think politics is important. It's tiring, and I think you only do it if you really care about people, if you really care about the issues, if you really care about this country and its founding ideals. But it can be tiring. That's for sure.
All right. Let's see. I wouldn't know, but we're hearing it from you.
It's good to get involved in it. It's rewarding. It's rewarding because it can be tough, and I know seeing the a lot of what's gone on this past year. It's I think probably made a lot of young people wonder whether or not they want to get involved, but we set the tone. Now, young people have the ability to set the tone, and I think no matter what background you come from, who you are, you have something to contribute. And I think politics is an area where and it was not my career plan. It's not what I went to school for, but it is something that has been really rewarding for me, and that it's been a privilege for me to be actively a part of, because there's so much that we deal with and that we're capable of doing through that. And I think it's a unique American duty, because there are a lot of people in this world who don't have the ability, because the type of government that they have, because of the economy there, to really get engaged in a way that we are here to speak for ideas, and that's a testament to the greatness of this country. So politics can be tough, but it's worth it.
Yeah. Is there any advice you want to tell aspiring politicians?
I would say if you're interested in running for office one day, no matter what that may be, and no matter whether or not you think you can do it, or whether or not you think you'll have a lot of support behind you, or not, if you care and you think it's something you want to do, get involved in every way that you can. Meet people in your local party, whichever party that may be. Start in student government. Do things that you can express yourself in, that you can make an impact in, because that's the truest expression of who you are and what you will want to accomplish going forward. And if you are active, if you are doing something that you care about and that you love and you're passionate about something, and I know everybody is about one thing or another, they have a passion, pursue that, and you'll go far in politics, because that's what we need in this country, is people who deeply care about the things that they see and who want to get involved with that. And so don't be afraid to ever get involved and take a leap. And I've got my own harsh critics, but I've also made a lot of relationships with people and gotten a lot of support from people of every party and background, because no matter who you are, and this goes for me too, I appreciate people who are working hard to try to bring attention to the issues that affect us. And so just do it is what I would say if you're thinking about running and you're thinking about getting involved. Don't worry about it, just do it.
All right, well, I think there's only one thing left that a lot of people would like to know. What do you think our next 4 years are going to be like? Is it going to be a tough time making it through?
I'm eager to see what President-elect Trump offers as far as his platform, who he brings in for his administration, and how serious he and others are about using certain branches of government as an extension of partisan politics. I think we have a unique opportunity, and I'll give President-elect Trump the benefit of the doubt, and I believe that although we have some disagreements, and although I did run as a member of the Democratic Party, that at the end of the day, he cares very deeply about this country. I don't think anybody runs without caring very deeply about this country and its success. And it's on all of us now to work together for the success of our country. And so we have a lot to see, and that's always the case. But like President Obama said, there were a lot of differences between he and George Bush, and now it's on all of us to ensure that we're doing our best to push this country forward and in the right direction, and in a way that's respective of all people in this country and all American citizens who have every single right as others to life, liberty, property, and pursuit of happiness. I think America is already great. I think that his message of making America great again resonates with a lot of people who are frustrated with the partisanship that has taken place. They're frustrated with the bureaucracy. They're frustrated with politics as usual when people are facing life and death issues, make or break issues every single day. And I understand that frustration. Do I agree with the policy proposals that have been put forward? Not necessarily, on a lot of things. But the president has a duty to represent everybody and has a duty to do what's best for this country. And I think at that level, there's a unique opportunity to bring in everybody's voice to try to make sure we're doing the right thing. So, I'm eager to see what happens, and I hope to be a part of that process going forward. So
Well, we'll just have to anticipate it. Well, I want to thank you, Frank, for being on
appreciate
the
it
show.
very much.
All right, and Frank's Zona, everybody.
Thank you, George.
All right.